couple other tricks that I have that we haven't really gone over. Some selecting and cutting and pasting things that we didn't really cover in class. Let's find a good Miley face here. Oh yeah, there we go. I found our Miley Cyrus face. Again, if you're using it for your project, please save it to your student folder so that if something goes wrong, you have the raw file to work with. Okay, so next step would be I want to get her face onto her head. Now, the advantage here is I found an image that has a white border. So what I can do, I'm going to hide the background layer. And then if you use this tool, which is the magic wand tool, you can just click and that will highlight all of a color within a certain tolerance. So this tolerance section here determines how far the selection tool is willing to go off of the color that you clicked. In this case, I'm going to keep the tolerance where it's at. But if I turned it down to, or turned it up to 100 and select it again, it starts to jump into parts of her face. You can see it takes away this whole ear because it's a very light sort of pink color. Tolerance set to 0. In this case, anything that's not pure white, it's not going to select. So 32 seems like it's a pretty good value, but if you find that you're using the magic wand tool and it's not grabbing everything you want, that's one way you can do it. So I can select that white area and press delete. And remember, when you see the transparent background, which is the checkerboard, that means there's no pixels in that area. So I have a head, and what I can do is I'm going to select it, press Control J, and that's going to make a copy of the layer. And then I can actually click and drag the layer and drop it right on top of my American Gothic painting. So now all I need to do is get the lovely Miss Cyrus's head here onto the body. I'm going to use the Move tool to do that. Remember, the Move tool gives you some rotation and resizing options. Remember to hold Shift if you don't want to change the proportions. You can also bend and skew by holding Control, but I don't really want to do that. I'm just going to make it a little bit larger and give it kind of a creepy tilt. Ooh, we should keep that rat tail on the back. Remember, you can use the arrow keys to move things a small amount also. And then when you're done moving it, either click the Move tool again or click the rectangular marquee and just hit Apply. And we have Miley Cyrus in American Gothic. Couple other things you can do. Remember, back to the book cover project, you can see she's a little more saturated than the painting. I can go into Image Adjustments, Hue and Saturation, desaturate a little bit, lower the brightness a little bit. If you want, you can even change the color shift here a little. Take her a little more to the yellow side and see how that works. Okay, and I'm pretty happy with that for right now. All right, so again, 3 major elements of your parody need to be the things we've learned. So far, I've done the pen tool, I've done cut and paste. And then the last thing that I said you can do is use your paintbrush tool. So I think what I'm going to do for this example is I'm going to just make my own sky using the pen tablet. So you can try and use the magic wand tool to remove things. Just make sure that when you do, you can see I'm on the wrong layer here, that when you do, you're on the proper layer in the layers window. And then you can start messing with tolerances if you want. What you can also do, the magic wand, if you click this second option here, this adds to whatever you've already selected. So you can kind of use that to fill in some areas, which is a great way to kind of get a quick selection of part of your image. Any sort of bumpy spots along the edge, but you have to be careful. I just lost it there for a second. All right, so it looks like I've got the entire sky selected. Now what I'm actually going to do for this is I'm going to press Control-Shift-I, and that's going to select everything except the sky. And then I'm going to press Control-J, and what that's going to give me is a version of this picture with a transparent sky. You can see there's a little bit still left on the edge there, so what I'm going to do is to just take the eraser. My opacity is really low. Take the eraser and just go on the edge and clean up those little artifacts that are left from the original sky. So now I have that layer. I can create a new layer that's just going to be the sky. Now I'm really bad about naming my layers, but if it's something that'll help you keep track of what everything is, please feel free to name your layers. You can either name it when you create it or click. It's a real, like if you do a slow double click on the layer name, it'll let you rename it. Anyway, back to what I was saying. So I'm going to make a sky for mine. And this is where you could start using the pen tablet if that's the way you want to go. We'll go with a stormy sort of day looking sky. If you did the lightning bolt tutorial in class, I know a few of you did. Might be a cool thing to do in a sky too if you want to go that way. Another thing you could do is just find a picture of the kind of sky you want. And this is going to screw up my computer again, so please stay tuned. All right, my computer's functional again. So I'm going to take this image of lightning storm. I'm going to paste it over my sky layer. I'm going to group it to my sky layer. Again, once that's done, you can change the blending options of the layer. Find one that looks acceptable. Now, one of the issues you might have, make sure you're finding a large enough image. This one is probably a little blurry for the size we're working at, but for now, I think we're going to stick with it.